We're paying you, aren't we?
Good thing they like being heard, because we don't pay them that much.
It's like people only do things because they get paid, and that's just really sad.
The first of the duo is never shy about letting you know where he stands.
Okay, hot take, but I like your confidence.
The other promises he'll grow on you with time.
It's like a new pair of underwear. At first it's constrictive, but after a while it becomes a part of you.
Together, they're bringing you the best in Oklahoma State sports talk and their opinions on sports topics from around the country.
That's right. Listen up. Hey, listen up. You.
Patrick Wheeler.
Let's stomp these dudes.
And Zach Lancaster.
Everyone is stupid except me.
This is the Afternoon Sports Drive on the Triple Play Sports Radio Network.
That's what I'm talking about. Sport!
You ain't never heard nothing like this. Let me work, show me where the mic is. I'm on stage, black shirt, and my Timbs. You know how I do it, I ain't playing with you, I've been grinding. Anybody trying to sleep on me, better do something with your eyelids. I hear a lot of whining, but I don't hear a lot of rhyming. Whoa! Everybody got opinions, let it go into my ear, then I block that. Put me on stage, I'ma rock that, saying you the best. Stop that, phony, I am not.
What up, welcome in, Afternoon Sports Drive, Triple Play Sports Radio Network. Happy Friday, everybody. You did it. You made it. You're here in the right spot on the Triple Play Sports Radio Network. Patrick Wheeler and Levi Peckinpah. Zach Lancaster will join us shortly. Levi, what's going on, man? How's the GameStop stuff going on?
It's not going on. I'm having a tough time trying to navigate the stock market. Just like I was telling you before the show started, Patrick, and we were talking with Jordan. I've realized that, I've spent basically 2 days in stock markets, so you can call me an expert. I have no idea what I'm doing, to be completely honest with you. I'm throwing stuff in. I was looking at what were the potential trends. I was looking at the Robinhood app. I was mainly messing on Cash App, and I was realizing all the things that were going on with Robinhood, and I was like, I might be in over my head. And turns out after losing like $2 or $3 on my stocks because Nokia was definitely not the trend, it has not been good over here.
I've seen so many posts on social media. They're like, okay, if you don't understand what's going on, let me put it in this terms. Let me explain it to you this way. Let me use this example. Mm-hmm. And if you try to read one of those, you're like, I'm more confused than I was at the beginning of all this.
I need it to be in the same way. Like, you know how you see some of those posts where they're like, all right, translate it to me in NBA basketball terms. I need it translated into the way of an NFL game. Just give me an NFL game rep of what it would be like.
Put the classic Steve Carell on The Office. Explain this to me like I'm 5, please.
Exactly. I think the situation would be kind of like it's the New England Patriots are all the way at the top, and then you got like the Philadelphia Eagles working your way, and they're taking like every little shortcut, and they're able to get at everybody. I assume that's how it is. I don't really know for sure.
Oh, man, John Chaney passed away. Well,
really?
Yeah, that's what I'm just getting from...
lost 2 legendary black coaches.
Yeah, man, that's another one.
Wow.
That's, that. You know what? This of 2020 into 2021... By the way, Jordan just bringing me in. Sorry, I'm trying to be random off the topic there, but he brought that in. This whole year of 2020 and into 2021, we've lost so many legends in sports. It's insane.
Yeah.
More so than usual, it seems.
Yeah, it's extremely crazy, and you definitely, a lot of it goes towards the pandemic, and it's just one of those things where as time goes on, you're going to have a lot of these people pass away, and it's just, you hate to see it, and no one likes to see your idols eventually go, and it's something that'll always hit everybody in the heart, and it hurts even more and more as more and more will eventually pass away. Heck, sometime, and nobody wants to, will eventually pass away, and we hate seeing that, but it's just a thing that's kind of inevitable, and you just kind of cherish the people that do pass away, and you cherish their life.
A legendary coach, Hall of Fame coach from Temple, dies at 89. So there you go, John Chaney. All right, so a lot of stuff to get to here in the Afternoon Sports Drive today. We have to take a look at Oklahoma State basketball coming up tomorrow. We will have Tom Dorado joining us at 3:25 to give us his insight. Should be good. And look at the 3 keys that we have to the game coming up. And yesterday, we got to talk with a couple of guys involving Arkansas basketball. And they cover it over there in Fayetteville, and they're really pumped up for this matchup, just like we are, because you have a really good matchup within the matchup with Cade Cunningham and Moses Moody here. I mean, this is
2 former high school teammates.
That's right. You think there's not going to be a little bit one to get back at each other there? I mean, friendly battle going on, and
I think friendly gets thrown out the window once you go to different colleges.
Yeah,
at that point.
That's right. It kind of we have respect for each other.
Quote friendly,
but it's not like it used to be.
Let me give you a light check real quick.
I'm not lobbing it up as I used to be. be to you. Instead, I'm trying to defend you to the ends of the end here. So let's actually, before we get started, let's hit the phone lines. Caller on the afternoon sports drive.
Well, I just noticed that Oklahoma State picked up that. I'm going to say something just to be nerdy. Trey, I only want to be with OSU Rucker, out of from Wake Forest, is transferring to Oklahoma State, and I know that Coach Gundy loves multi-sport athletes, and one of the first things that I heard about the guy was that he was not only a great defensive back with a lot of size, but he was just as good of a baseball player. Could be playing. I mean, heck, Coach Holliday may want to try to talk to Coach Gundy to see if he'd come out and play baseball too. So anyway, it just sounds like he's a pretty good athlete coming in to help out with the defensive backs, and at his size, sounds like he could be a cornerback or a safety. But he has cornerback speed, but size to be either one. It sounds like.
Yeah, he does. 6'1", 195. That's a guy that you can throw in there. And the main goal of this is to, hey, when Rodarius Williams is gone, what can we do to fill in a little bit of the hole that he left? So I think it's a solid grab. And, yeah, like you said, really good baseball player as well. And I would have to think that there has to be a little bit of talk into what he could possibly do as a dual sport athlete. However, he's going to come in and really help shape up that secondary for Oklahoma State. As we know, Levi was so good last year. We're afraid they were going to lose Colby Harvell-Peel. That ended up not happening. You do end up losing Rodarius. You've got some young talent, and now you add this. I mean, the defense, to me, I think we obviously weren't expecting the huge performance we saw out of them this past year, but knowing what they have coming in this year, and you've maintained your hold on Jim Knowles as well, I mean, it's shaping up to look really good.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to be a good time. The main thing is just trying to figure out who can fill the spot of Rodarius Williams, and it's the same thing we were dealing with the previous year, trying to figure out who was going to fill the spot of A.J. Green, because we didn't know that Rodarius was going to step up to this point. So hopefully everything can continue to go. The momentum of the Jim Knowles defense continues to spread, and the wave continues to go, and everything keeps flowing.
Yeah, and to add to his profile, he said his mom was a Division I athlete, and his stepdad is his coach. So you get another coach's son, and sounds like he's just one of those guys that the kind of not I know Coach Gundy's always talking about the doing things the cowboy way and so on and so forth, but it sounds like the kind of kid that you want, because he talks about putting school first and all of these things. So just sounds like the kind of person that you want, and I'm glad the Cowboys. I know there's a lot of people out there in the portal, and every school is going to get a kid or two, but you're getting guys you want, and you're getting guys that feel specific needs, like you guys just said.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I think it's hopefully it pans out for OSU, because we know they've had plenty of a transfer portal, in terms of situations where they've lost players. And game one like this, though, could be huge.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right, this is the afternoon sports drive. Patrick Wheeler and Levi Peckinpah.
Finally found a headset that worked.
There you go. You got you can hear it now.
I was over there playing Operation. It was weird, but it was like how my chances were at the stock market. It was very weird. It did not work out.
I'm going to keep going back to you on that and say, remember that one time, Levi, you tried to get in the stocks and it didn't work? Yeah, it was just like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to learn to stay in my own lane, as LeVar Ball would say.
That's right. Hey, let's look at a few things here for Oklahoma State tomorrow. As I was mentioning before we got the call, my first thing, and this is coming off of the last couple of performances, I know Cade's back and all this, but to me, you got to keep your big men involved. Mm-hmm. And this is a matchup with Arkansas where they do have some size down there. You got a couple of guys. Justin Smith is starting to step up a little bit. You've got some guys that can be issues. And if you look back at these last couple of games with Baylor and Iowa State, that hasn't really necessarily been the case. Obviously Iowa State had a lot of guys out. Mm-hmm. Baylor doesn't have a ton of size, going to cause huge problems down there. And then with the lack of Cade and the lack of guard play, to be completely honest, over the last couple of games, you had Caleb Boone and M.A. really start to step up and make a difference. So I think that has to continue in this one, because what they do is provide balance. to an offense that doesn't have to rely on Cade and Bryce and Ice to carry the load all the time. You get it down low, you get production from your big guys, and it's especially important against an Arkansas team where, hey, if they start giving up a few buckets, next thing you know, Oklahoma State gets a little bit more comfortable. That attracts an extra defender or two, and then you leave guys like we mentioned right there with the guards open behind the line, behind the three-point line. Look, it's just a recipe for disaster for Arkansas. So it all to me kind of starts right there. I want to see them stay involved on Saturday.
Yeah, I completely agree because, and the main person I circle with that is Caleb Boone. The way that he's been playing these past 2 games, it's not like how it was what it felt like the past couple weeks, where he's even said verbally where it was he didn't know whenever he was going to be able to get back on track. And so to see him now have 2 really good performances against Baylor and Iowa State, that's a guy that you truly need to get going. One of my big things for this, and it's my first thing going into this game, I need a layer of consistency from everybody. So that way, once you hit some big stretches, you don't end up having like a big double-digit giveaway, and you see Arkansas. Say if Arkansas is down by a decent margin, they just rack off what seems like 11 points in 3 minutes. You need some kind of consistency to where you don't end up just giving away the game at some points. And say if at some time for Oklahoma State the game does get out of reach. Not saying that, but if that were to happen, you don't want to give it back up almost immediately like you've seen in a good chunk of Oklahoma State games.
And just in time, let's bring in the third member of the crew, Zach Lancaster. Zach, what's going on, man?
What is up, guys? Oh, not much. I'm just hanging out in the office. Just got done with the Oklahoma State basketball Zoom call. And just kind of hanging out. How about you guys?
No, we're doing the same. We were actually making fun of Levi's failures with the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah, already. He attempted the whole let me dive in and see what I can do with this whole stock market craziness, and it didn't work out for him.
Hey, what'd you get?
Originally, I was just going around. I was just trying to feel things out and figure out what was going on. So I originally bought a Sirius XM, and then I sold it almost immediately. And I was like, all right, I got to figure out what's going to be a trend. So I jumped on Nokia, and let's just say that didn't work out. I lost a couple bucks, and so now I'm just holding on to like $24, and I'm trying to figure out, do I actually want to do the stock market stuff, or do I just want to go buy supper? I'm trying to figure out that. From what my gullet and my brain is telling me, tacos are in play. So I think it's gonna be supper.
I don't know, man. You could invest a couple $100 in Dogecoin.
I'm not
make you like 75 cents.
Hey, I mean, that's not a bad idea.
Or maybe your stomach's telling you need to invest in like a taco franchise.
You need to invest in some Taco Bell, right? That's what it's saying.
There
exactly.
You go.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be a good way to go. I'm gonna have to get on on one of these official stock market apps and then really go lose some money, man.
I'm thinking that you're gonna have to. I'm thinking you're gonna have to like do some research before you just start, randomly buying stock.
Yeah.
In random companies. Like, when was the last time you've heard of anything positive with Nokia?
Back in about 2004, when one of their chunky phones smacked some concrete at my house, and then surprisingly it didn't break.
Are you aware that it is 2021?
Yes.
And I don't think Nokia makes cell phones anymore?
I'm pretty sure Nokia does make some cell phones still.
Do they?
I believe so.
Can you prove it without looking it up?
No, I cannot prove it.
Then.
There's still a market for old people out there that need cell phones, okay?
That's Jitterbug.
Yeah, Jitterbug took control of that. Hey, Zach, you came on right on time to get your first.
I heard some of you guys talking.
Yeah, we want to hear your first, your big key for what Oklahoma State's got to do tomorrow.
Yeah, they're going to have to. It's like what we talked about yesterday. Arkansas, man, one of the first things Mike Boynton said is that Arkansas is one of the fastest teams in the country. OSU plays pretty fast, and he said that it's not even close. Like they couldn't even really compare him to Kansas at times. I mean, they are just running and gunning, and that's going to be one of the biggest. That's going to be one of the biggest keys right there. And then something else that's going to be interesting, and I don't know if you guys have been on Twitter in the last 15 or so minutes, but Boynton said that Cade Cunningham is clear. They were supposed to get back earlier in the week, but weather forced them to. I don't think they got back to Tuesday. And then he had some academic requirements that he had to get done, and so he was cleared medically on Wednesday. He practiced Wednesday. They did some more physical stuff on Thursday. He will be available on Saturday. but in a limited role, and he's actually not sure what that limited is. So that's going to be something really big. You know, we talked about Arkansas's speed, and we talked about their guard play. I mean, they've got 4 guards and a forward that are averaging in double digits right now. It's going to be really interesting to see if OSU can get solid guard play. You know, can Isaac Likely kind of get out of his slump a little bit? Is Rondell Walker going to continue? You know, is he going to be able to step up? Are they, you know, Pat, you know, you and I talked about it yesterday. Is Bryce Williams going to step up? You know, what's he going to do? So it's going to be that speed. That, for me, that's going to be the biggest issue going into this game, is just how fast is Arkansas, and can Oklahoma, because we know Oklahoma State, they play fast on both ends. You know, they a lot of running, a lot of gunning, a lot of fast breaks, a lot of steals. However, they also turn the ball over a lot. So are they going to be able to limit turnovers to try to eliminate some of those Arkansas fast breaks? And when they're not turning the ball over, say after a score or just whatever, they're going to be able to slow down that fast break down the other end of the court.
Yeah, that was actually my second one. I'll kind of combine them too, because since we can get some time crunched up here to get to Tom. But I think I said control the pace, is what I had on there, because yes, Oklahoma State, that means that when they get the chance, get out and run, because that's what they're used to. That's natural. You know, they want to get out there and score quick, and I completely get that. They have the ability to do that with their guards and their big men that run the floor. So controlling the pace, but also means, hey, when we realize that if Arkansas is starting to get in a little bit of a roll here, pushing the pace their way, let's slow it down, let's run some sets and get back to what we do best. So and then my other one was kind of like you said, Zach, but I singled it out more, and I said you got to get Ice back on track. And then,
absolutely,
the last couple of games, it's just not been the same Isaac Likely that we're used to, and that, coincidentally was without Cade Cunningham. And I think that OSU's thankful that they got production like they did out of their big men, and of course Rondell Walker against Iowa State really picked up a lot of the slack too. But I would throw Bryce in that same category. Those guys, they have to be good. They have to be great in this game against Arkansas, because you need their production. I know everyone doesn't like to focus on the point total that Ice necessarily puts out, because that's not where he does so many other great things. But I think that if you look back when he's scoring the ball well, Oklahoma State, they follow. Like when Ice goes, they follow. So I think you got to get him back on track as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's huge. Because I think Cade is obviously the leader of the clubhouse. He's that guy that the team stops and goes with him. But you look at Ice, he's a junior. He's been here. When you think of Oklahoma State, he is one of the first guys that come to mind. He can single-handedly take over a game physically. If you're down 4 points, he can create a couple of fast breaks, and he can create, he can get down into the paint and get you a couple of hard-earned buckets. I talked about in my game preview earlier this morning. You look at Isaac in the last 3 games, he's only posted 26 points. That's something that Ice, he gets close to 26 in a game and a half. Now, with that being said, he has posted 19 rebounds and 17 assists in those 3 games. So he's certainly creating, but Oklahoma State is going to need him to not only create that offense, but they're going to need him to get back on track.
Mm-hmm. They're definitely going to need him to get back on track. I've kind of put Ice, for what he's been able to do, almost as kind of close to what Lindy Waters would do for Oklahoma State. And Lindy would do a little bit more scoring, but you would also regularly see him get involved in any other way whenever he couldn't get a bucket. And that's what Ice, to me, has been doing these past couple games where it feels like he's been in a slump. It's just, if he can't get himself going, get everyone else going. And I think that's why you see a lot of these young guns, whether it's Caleb Boone or Matthew Alexander Moncrief, really benefit, is because Ice is willing to try to find these guys in some very open spots and help get these guys going, and finally get a lot of these guys out of their slumps that they've been in. So yes, from visually, we would love to see Ice get going. If he can also help get these other guys and boost them up like he's been doing these past couple games, I'll almost take that as much as him going out and scoring 30, if you can get other guys to go out and get buckets as well.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things. Like I said, in those 3 games, he had 17 assists. So there's no doubt that Ice is creating. He's creating for Caleb. He's creating for MA. Rondell in the corner, you see that a lot. And I think obviously that's going to be one of Ice's strong suits. Mm-hmm. He's going to be assisting, and he's going to be getting his own rebounds and getting other rebounds on the offensive and defensive ends. But we've seen him. He has that capability of scoring anywhere between 15 and 22 points a game on average. That's not a stretch of the imagination. So this for as fast as Arkansas plays and as talented as their guards are, and the biggest thing is how much is Cade going to be able to play? That's that limited capacity. Is that limited as 20 minutes? Because Cade is averaging close to 40. Is 20 limited, or are we talking like 10 to 12? No matter what it is, we're going to need Isaac to pick up that slack, and I think he's going to have to score 15 to 22 on top of 6-7 assists like he has been.
Well, we'll get Tom Dorado's thoughts on it here in just a minute. He's going to join us on the Afternoon Sports Drive and give us more of an update as well. Everything going on with OSU basketball, what to expect tomorrow. That's coming up.
You can call till your voice is running out, but I can't hear you now. I can't hear you now. I'm somewhere far away where you can't bring me down, so I can't hear you now.
Welcome back. It's the Afternoon Sports Drive, Triple Play Sports Radio Network. Patrick Wheeler, Zach Lancaster, Levi Peckinpah. And as if three weren't enough, we're bringing in Tom Dorado, too. Tom makes it
the best of the trio.
Yeah, that's right. It's now a quartet.
Absolutely tops all three of us.
What's going on, Tom?
Well, Lancaster makes up for all of us, so we ought to just all bow out because he's the dominant.
I'll take it from here, guys.
He's the dominant know-it-all, so we just kind of leave it here, I guess. But
why do you think he's in radio?
It's not an insulting. It's not like an insult if it's true.
And I would say that so far from the truth, you can't see it. So I was just throwing that out there. So.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Tom. Before the first thing I saw today was just a few hours ago, actually, that our good friend Joe Lenardi, over here. He's yeah. He's put Oklahoma State in his list right now with teams with tourney odds of 80+% through the games so far to make the tournament, and they are currently sitting as a 7 seed right now.
I think this is a year where, not that you would immediately challenge the Dukes, the North Carolinas, the Kentuckys, but this is a good year to be having a halfway decent year because those three teams, unless it's a miracle, are not going to get in the tournament.
Hey, now listen up. I got to tell you before you get too deep. Okay, North Carolina has actually improved over the last few games, and they're sitting as a 10 seed, so they might make it. The other two though, and the way Kansas is playing, if they can keep rolling and not play well, they might be out. But
you got to give about 3 or 4 teams in every conference that are having.
That's right. I just want to make sure you give my Tar Heels some credit.
Well, yeah, right now they are, but and who knows? Lenardi might have us in 1 seed before everything's said done. But I think unless you just screw it up down the stretch, I mean, you're almost at the halfway mark of the conference. That comes up on Wednesday against TCU.
Wow, yeah.
And which is hard to believe.
It is.
Most teams are just scraping around trying to play. But, it's a favorable schedule the rest of the way. And quite frankly, I think with guys that are now checking back in, at least today, and we haven't lost anybody to my knowledge yet, which is always a crapshoot when you take those tests. But you get Cade back, you're going to get Flavors back. To what extent Flavors plays, I don't know, but he's been out and about and running around shooting, and it doesn't seem to be just the whole problem with that hand. Now you don't know how it's going to react when you start playing, or if he gets hit with it, it gets hit in the hand or the finger. But I think you get him back. You get Cade back, and all of a sudden the numbers start looking good when you head down the home stretch of the year. So I don't know how many games they're going to win. I mean, they're at 4. Right now, you would think the odds are in Oklahoma State's favor to be flirting around that 8 and 9 win, unless they just completely collapse. You still have Iowa State, still have Kansas State. Mm-hmm. I guess you could throw TCU into that mix.
Yeah.
But you got to go on the road to win, and TCU is struggling around, but they're capable at home. They're capable up here. They beat us up here. So But I would think we'd be in a favorable position to win those 3. Now you're at 7. Now what are you going to do the rest of the way? I mean, 7-4. You've got 7 left, and they're against some Scorpions along the way. None of them will be easy the rest of the way. But yeah, I mean, for them to not to make the tournament, I think would be a disaster, quite frankly. Now, what seed? I'll let Lenardi do all that stuff. But,
well, you mentioned Cade there being able to come back, and Boynton cleared him recently as well. What can we expect in terms of how much you think he'll play?
I think he'll play it a lot. Now, again, depending on if there's any kind of readings that go up or flags that go up between now and 3:00 tomorrow, which I'm not privy to any of that. But just judging from what he's done, and I can only give you what his teammates are ribbing him yesterday. About you're up and down. You say you're sore. He says he's sore because obviously he hadn't played in a couple of weeks. So that's one thing. And he was joking around with his teammates. I'm sore because I finally got back in the weight room. Which probably we all know that.
Mm-hmm.
After you don't live for a while, the first time back is a sore situation. But as far as playing, I mean, I think he's ready to go. And he sure as hell wants to play tomorrow because of his, Moody not only is mentioned in the same breath with him, Moses Moody, as far as a top 10 draft choice, the freshman there, but he played with him at Montverde. In fact, he was joking around with one of his teammates yesterday and said he was my roommate when I was down there. So he says, he's my man, but not Saturday. He won't be my man during the game.
Yeah.
And I heard him say, he scored a lot, but we had a lot of guys who had the ball, and like myself, and we just get it on down the floor and we throw it in the corner. There's Moody who'd hit it. I don't know. I might have said something about, he took 3 shots against Ole Miss, didn't look engaged. He said, he just, as he was leaving, he said he'll take more than 3 shots Saturday. I can promise you that.
Yeah, when we had our guest on yesterday from Fayetteville talking about it, he basically said the same thing. He's like, "Nah, this we're expecting a little bit of a different performance from Moody in this one." And you mentioned their connection. Well, as far as you're concerned, what kind of potential do we have here for that individual matchup within this entire matchup between Oklahoma State and Arkansas? Is it going to be one of those where they're going back and forth and we see some real intensity there?
Well, it's a subtle one. We've had a couple of situations this year where I think was Miles being one of them. The other guy kind of escapes me, but I don't think they'll be on each other. No, I don't think that. Now, they may run into each other just because they both fly around and both teams get up and down. This may, for Levi, who's a big NBA fan, this might be the closest NBA look we've got playing these guys. If each team does what it wants to do, it's a racehorse basketball. They get it and go. Now they'll take it. They'll go in the net or off the rim. We got some other things that will slow them down. And I don't know what Boynton said this afternoon, but I can tell you that we got some things going to slow that racehorse down. I mean, we're not going to let them just go end to end by themselves. We're going to find a way to get them into a half-court situation where I can promise you they don't look near as comfortable trying to make passes. Ole Miss ran a 1-3-1. We don't do that by trade, but it wouldn't surprise me if we did that tomorrow, just to slow them and make some of their ball handlers, who are not really that good, quite frankly. I mean, Tate is the ball handler, and when you got 29 turnovers in 9 games in the SEC, he doesn't always make the right decisions. In general, I look at this team. They're a classic feast or famine team. They in the league, and those are the numbers. Because if you look at their non-conference schedule, it was pretty soft. They ran 9 wins off there, but they score 79, they give up 77. They get 37 rebounds. The other guys get 36. It's a 50-50 deal, pretty much across the board. They turn it over 14 times, and they only turn the other team over 15 times. So the numbers are pretty equal. What they've got, they're not an overpowering team, and I'm sure. I guess he did a Zoom today, right? So I don't imagine he would even come close to saying this, but this is just my opinion after watching 3 tapes of them. They are soft down low on both ends of the floor. I know the big man, the 7'3" guy, Connor Vanover, has he's a block kind of guy if you get an angle on him. But if you just take it, I cannot imagine Vanover or anybody else handling. Now, if they play this way, but handling Caleb or handling MA, if they go hard to the rim, they're just not very tough physically. Not a physical team. Oklahoma State's got an edge there on both ends of the floor. So in my mind, there'll be no reason not to score low and not to rebound near this other end, because they're just not a great rebounding team. They're just not physical enough against teams that go push them around.
So, you kind of answered my next question then, how exactly, what you expected out of the big men for Oklahoma State. But if you do get that type of performance, and you get some production again out of MA, out of Caleb, and then you can combine it with the guard play, which kind of leads me into, specifics there. It's been a couple of down games, Tom, in terms of scoring for Isaac Likely. I mean, is this a bounce-back opportunity for him?
And I'm reluctant to say it's been a down situation for him. I think it was a down situation for everybody at Iowa State. I mean, that was not a very good performance by anybody. When you turn it over 24 times, I don't have the box in front of me, but he didn't have a real good night distributing either, like a lot of players. And it'll be interesting to see what they do, they being Arkansas, tomorrow, because they are adept in what they do. Whoever it is, it might be Patrick Wheeler, but the guy who has the ball in his hands is going to get double teamed right at the head of the key. And they're going to make you give the ball up to somebody. Now, how do you react to that pressure? Whether it's it'll certainly be Cade. When he's got the ball, they're going to come after him and double team him, make him give it up. Now, what do you do with it? Well, a lot of teams just kind of stand around and don't do anything. Well, we got some things in place where MA might come up in the paint and come up to the high key and take it, and now he'll be a distributor. You won't be surprised to see Caleb kind of drift on out to the wing, and all of a sudden Cade can find him, or you just get it to ice. And I think people will say, well, it's a bounce back, but these guys don't handle. They're not good defenders off the dribble, is what I'm saying. They don't contain the dribbler very well. And I can't imagine Ice won't have 6, 7, 8 opportunities to take the ball, drive past one of their guards, and get to the rim. There's nothing at the rim that bothers me. And believe me, they kind of scatter around when guys beat them off the dribble. So that's why they get a bucket, you get a bucket. It's kind of brother-in-law basketball, and I think we'll take advantage of that a lot Saturday with Ice. I think Ice would be good, or anybody getting to the rim, but Ice is really good at walling people off and getting there. So to you, it definitely could be whoever has the ball last type of game might have a chance to win it. Well, in theory, I guess it could be that. It could be the 85-83, I guess. But at the same time, I got to think the team that can get the stops, you cherish a stop for either team tomorrow, a stop and a rebound. And the stop is not only a bad shot, but a stop is going to get the rebound. And these guys are not a great rebounding team. They're just not. And mainly because they're not as physical. The teams that have given them trouble in the SEC are the physical teams underneath. These guys are just not a physical team. They probably would take exception to what I'm saying if they would listen, but this is they've got other aspects of their game that are good. Note is a guy who really doesn't get a whole lot of credit for what he does, the Jacksonville transfer, but he generally comes off the bench, and this guy can stroke the three. Moody, he gets all the ink, but Tate, I think, is a hell of a player. He's a graduate senior out of Northern Kentucky, and I think he's a tough guy. I think he's he may be the toughest guy on the team physically, in my opinion. And Vanover is just 7'3", and, that's what he is. He's from California. He transferred in. He gets angles on you. He'll block shots from behind. But if you just take it right at that 7'3" frame, he'd probably be on the bench pretty quick. All right, Tom, last thing for you, because I know this is it's pretty personal for you, but this weekend, we get to do the Remember the 10 weekend continued, but it's also an opportunity, and Oklahoma State and Arkansas are going to take that opportunity to remember Eddie Sutton. We saw the preview of the shooting shirts they're going to wear and the tributes that are going to be given to him. And, of course, it would be so much better if you could have a packed-out arena for it and all that, but I have to think that you got to be ready to see all that coming up this weekend. It looks like it could be really impressive what they're planning on doing. Yeah, and it's a tribute to what the school does. Both schools, really. I mean, they both have equal rights, I guess, to claim Eddie Sutton. Eddie Sutton took that Arkansas basketball program and took it literally from the ground, which was pretty much in Barnhill. It was dirt floor around the court, and took it to where it was. He went to the Final Four with them, won a lot of championships in the conference, and then we know what he did here. Went to the Final Four a couple of times. So both schools have equal, dibs on him, if you will, and equal claims. And I have no problem with that. They're very proud of Eddie Sutton over in Arkansas for what he did. And they'll be feeling that as well. But the shirts are great. And everything kind of ties together. You got the Remember the 10, and the remembrance of this game. I'm sure they'll do the same video board thing. I don't know how many families have come back or members of the families have come back because of the pandemic, but it won't be like it usually is. But that won't diminish the importance of this day and what we will remember. And that's, I think both teams would be Oklahoma State will, and I think Arkansas will be very respectful as well. And we'll get a different perspective tomorrow in the pregame. I'm going to have Corey Williams, who's the assistant coach, and we've had Corey on before. Yeah. Former Cowboy, played for Eddie Sutton. He's an assistant coach. We're going to have him on about 1:40, for a couple of 10 minutes or so before they hit the floor and start warming up, and we'll get Corey's recollection. So a lot of emotion tomorrow, but once the ball goes up, I kind of like our chances of coming out a winner in this one. It's good. It's a big one for us, and it really is for them because they need a win. I mean, they need a signature win, and a win over a Big 12 team would be signature for them right now.
Well, are you actually going to be a Gala Grabber tomorrow by chance?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, yes.
Good deal. And then we have the pregame, you said, at 1:30 tomorrow, and Corey Williams around 1:40.
Yes, that is correct. That's the plan. Now, you know how plans go, but that is the plan, yes.
All right, perfect. We'll make sure and everyone's tuned in for that. Tom, thanks so much, man. Good stuff, and we'll have make sure everyone's listening tomorrow.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Tom Dorado, the legend himself. That's great. I'm glad he's going to be able to get to go there for to Gala Grab. Maybe his first time he's going to be there this year in person, maybe?
I think so.
Yeah, good.
I think so, yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. It's going to be a fun weekend, man. I mean, the tributes they're going to do, I can only imagine the emotion, involved with all that. With everything that, Eddie gets in, Hall of Fame, the film dropped this year, all that stuff, finally.
Did you guys get one of the shooting shirts from the student union?
They have them over the student union now?
So it's not the official shooting shirt because OSU, the teams, they're wearing Nike. But it's the exact same thing. I mean, it's just I think it's a cotton blend or something. I don't know, but that's
pretty cool.
It's got the Eddie on the front, and
yeah, man, they look awesome. They really, really do. The design is really cool.
I've not gotten one yet, but I will most likely be picking one up Monday.
I gotta say that I placed an order without realizing that it wasn't a Nike, and I was a little disappointed when I got the confirmation email. But I'm excited. This is always. I'm not going to be in the arena. We're going to have Marshall Levinson. Apparently, all the walking still really does me in. But the Remember the 10 game, this is going to be one of the first ones. I think this is the first Remember the 10 game that I haven't been to in 5 or 6 years, and it is easily one of the most, I guess, emotional and heartfelt. I mean, you just kind of feel it in the air. The emotions, and I can't even begin to imagine what it's going to feel like with both teams, the history they have with Eddie Sutton, and Coach Sutton passed last year after finally getting into the Naismith Hall of Fame. Yeah. So I would have to imagine that tomorrow is going to be one of the best days in Gala Grab in a while.
Tip off at 3 p.m. on ESPN2. Should be a great time for everybody. When we come back here on the afternoon sports drive, every single day, another day passes, more Deshaun Watson news. It's just how it is right now. We're going to get to that, round out the first hour. It's up next.
Whoa. Staring as I go, I gave until my soul hurt, never told them so. They're watching as I fall.
Welcome back. It's the afternoon sports drive. Triple Play Sports Radio. Patrick Wheeler, Zach Lancaster, Levi Peckinpah.
Roasting me while I'm trying to get a haircut. I'm trying to book a haircut, man.
Levi, you know what's going to happen when you come on this show.
Oh, yeah.
You just, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
So you got to just take your licks, man. That's how it is.
So are y'all going to do that one? I know that we frequent TikTok occasionally. Have y'all ever seen the video where it's like "Ooh, I like you cut, G," and then you smack him in the back of the head?
Yeah.
I might.
Yeah, I might do that too. Yeah, if it looks good enough.
All right.
Which I'm sure it will. So we'll definitely.
I was like, compared to what I got right now, anything's better than what I've got right now.
Yeah, Justin Bieber over there.
The Bully Buyer.
Again, I said as long as it doesn't include the 2020 music that he had, I'm fine with it.
Any of it is awful, Levi.
It is. I will say that the 2020 is the worst. It is the worst by far.
Yeah, we like to mix it up on the show. You probably won't hear any Justin Bieber though on mine.
I was gonna say if you end up playing that, we are fighting. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about
straight
it.
Throwing hate.
This isn't
If
even.
you come in with your haircut, that song will play every break.
That's not even joking.
I believe
we will be arguing.
Well, here's what we can argue about. Okay,
I like it.
We can argue about if Deshaun Watson is actually going to go anywhere or not, or if all this is just a lot of talk and a lot of fun for us to have during the off season. Because every single day, the latest news was, yesterday he had officially requested a trade, and then the Texans owner comes out today and he's like, man, we just want to make sure this is clear. From an organizational standpoint, like, we don't have any intention or want to trade Deshaun Watson. Like, we want him to stick around. We're not trying to shop him at this moment. And that goes back to what I've said from the beginning, is that I never really saw the Texans actually getting rid of him unless he just refused to play. And I'm not sure I can buy that Deshaun Watson, when the season comes around, that he would just sit there and not play. Because if it comes down to it, he's going to have to repay him back the money that he owes him if he doesn't play. So I just don't know if that would actually happen. And he's just the thing about it is, I understand wanting to make sure you're in the right situation, right? Because of the youth factor, and he knows that what his potential is, and maybe obviously hasn't reached his ceiling yet, but he's really good, incredibly young. 25, right? 25, 26, whatever he is. A ton of years left. And it's hard to remember that he's a year removed from a game away from the AFC Championship game. They were there, and it's just the way that things have gone on. I figured that when it's all said and done with whatever happens here, we're gonna find out. There's some details that haven't been released yet. We're gonna find out what exactly put Deshaun Watson on this track, because I know DeAndre Hopkins started it. That had a lot to do with it, but something else has gone on here.
Is this going to be completely opening the vault like how they did in Washington, and it's you just expose Houston for bad practices?
I don't know if it would ever be that bad. But because I think, look, the organization has been successful enough to be a contender in the playoffs and that type of thing recently, and they've been competent.
Or can we just call this the Bill O'Brien story, and we can all just realize that this is all Bill O'Brien's fault? It is. Once he got GM power, made terrible moves, and when guys needed to get paid, he shipped them off and got older guys that still were paid.
Yeah, and Zach, I'll say this: if you have Deshaun Watson in this situation, DeAndre Hopkins is gone. You get nothing in return. He's obviously ticked off about that. I get it. Bill O'Brien's gone. He had to have been thrilled about that. Now, if they said, look, we're going to put you in the talks and you can give us your opinion on who we should hire GM-wise, who we should hire coach-wise, and they did neither, then that just further makes him more upset and drives him away. But if it all came down to it at the end of the offseason, he's not moved and he's still on the Texans, could you see him sitting out and pulling a, I refuse to play until I'm out of here type thing?
Yeah, but I think it would depend on personnel situation on the field. If he, I think it's very clear that he is not happy with the situation he's in right now. But if, let's say late July, August rolls around, and they went out and they got him a really good running back, or a young up-and-coming running back that has a lot of potential, and they went out and got him a couple of solid receiver pieces. They, let's say they trade a draft pick or whatever, and they land a talented receiver, and he has some weapons on that offense, then I could see him being like, okay, you know what? You screwed me with the coaching staff. I wasn't happy. You wouldn't grant a trade if that ultimately comes down and they don't end up trading him. But at least you listened to some of my concerns and you went out and you got me some weapons. So maybe we have a chance. I could see him playing if they did that. But history would tell you that the Texans will probably not go out and land a couple of offensive weapons for Deshaun Watson. And if that's the case, absolutely, I could see him riding it out, trying to squeeze something out of this Texas organization, whether that's a trade or whether that's, listen, I'm not happy. So you either need to go out and get someone, or I'm just going to sit on this bench and just take my lumps.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. I would agree, like, they need to trade something. They need to trade some picks to get a wide receiver. The thing is, they already traded their picks to Miami. Miami's picking third in the NFL draft. Miami has everything. They ransacked him, gave him Laramie Tunsil, and basically just robbed him blind.
Well, and see, that's the thing, is that they had, I guess, in a sense, built around him before this. I mean, you already had DeAndre Hopkins. They got Kenny Stills, right? You had Will Fuller. They did get Laramie Tunsil, and technically that's trying to add another piece to the puzzle there.
Well, then they threw away the other piece and gave him to Seattle.
Yeah, and it's just that I think it all stems back to when Deshaun saw what happened with DeAndre Hopkins, he got spooked. I mean, I really do believe that was part of it.
I think he also literally looks on the other side of the ball and looks at J.J. Watt, decrepit old man, who, yeah, when J.J. Watt's on fire, he's still a great player, but also he's basically locked and stuck in Houston for his whole career where they haven't accomplished anything. He wants out.
I'm guarantee you he'll be gone this season as well.
Honestly, wouldn't surprise me if how things fall. J.J. Watt's also gone. J.J. Watt,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I bet both of them will be gone eventually.
Let me throw you this one, Levi, because Zach and I, this was my proposal to him yesterday of where he could land, because I'm not sure if he would actually land on an AFC team. If the Texans were to get rid of him, I'm not sure they would want to have to maybe play him in the playoffs or anything like that, or multiple times if he sticks around in the division. So I like the idea of an NFC team. If the Saints were smart, to me, if Drew Brees says no, and they would have to dump a few pieces, obviously, because they've got cap issues, but they should go after and really pursue Deshaun Watson to put him in there with Michael Thomas and some of the guys they've got over there. Harris is over there, and Emmanuel Sanders would probably be someone they dump, but Alvin Kamara, you've got pieces. I feel like that should be someone with the defense they have too that they should really start pursuing.
Yeah, I think that would be a very good fit. I mean, to me, you just look all over the board, and basically half of the NFL needs a quarterback. That's what you're running into.
There's like last I checked, technically like 20 jobs that are available. That's insane.
There's so many jobs open, and the thing is, if you're going to want Houston, if you're going to want Deshaun Watson, you're going to need to give up capital. And the weird thing is at some points Houston doesn't have a lot of leverage, but also at the same point they do. They don't have a lot of leverage because they really don't have any picks. They don't really have any weapons. I don't consider Brandon Cooks a weapon. I consider him close to retirement. And they just don't have a lot of talent in general besides Deshaun Watson. Yet the thing is, everybody is going to want Deshaun Watson to where they basically get to sit back and watch the bidding war happens. You're going to basically hope that somebody overbids for Jamal Adams. That's the equivalent. You're going to want that type of overbid, like Seattle gave up so many first-round picks for Jamal Adams. You're thinking, all right, I'm probably going to want like 2-3 first-round picks, try to get young talent out of Deshaun Watson. And here's the thing. I think that's just the inevitable thing. You don't want to have a guy who he doesn't want to be there on your team. You don't want another James Harden situation to happen there in Houston. I mean, again, I told you all off air, it's monkey see, monkey do. The same thing has happened for the Houston Rockets, now it's going to happen for the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I know. James Harden set a really dangerous precedent with the way he did it for players. And the latest report as well is that the Panthers were actively pursuing Deshaun Watson.
That's the team that needs to get
I think that would be a really interesting fit. You know, he goes over there. You presumably have Christian McCaffrey back healthy for a full season if he can stay healthy. The receivers they've added, DJ Moore's elite. Robbie Anderson had a good year. And if they can trade off Teddy Bridgewater, you know, which he would be involved. Like if the Texans did, they would say, give us Teddy and some picks, and we'll give you Deshaun Watson. That'd be a nice swap, because guess what? I know you watched the Panthers some this year. Teddy ain't the answer.
Yeah, Teddy's not the answer. He's a bridge quarterback. But here's the perfect trade, and you are definitely most likely going to have to add on some more. Teddy Bridgewater, Curtis Samuel. I think Curtis Samuel might be hitting for agency. That's sign and trade thing right there. And then I would also assume 2 first-round picks, maybe also a second-round pick in there.
I don't know if the Texans would not, would they not be able to pull the trigger on that? Because it might be too good for them to pass up. If it's a situation where you either roll the dice and say, well, we just can't get rid of Deshaun Watson. He's possibly a generational talent for us, and we have to hope he doesn't play. But the risk is he sits down on the bench, refuses to do it. Then we're in a situation where we have no QB.
A team where I've been looking at them, and I've been circling them almost every other day. I'm really looking at Washington football team. They've got so much talent on that defensive end. They give up one or two pieces, and they would not miss them. I think if you package together, there's at least 5 or 6 I would even say 7 great defensive line pieces over there at Washington. Give up a couple that are aging, give up some first-round picks. You now have a franchise QB, and you've got a couple good offensive linemen and someone to actually throw Terry McLaurin a ball.
Yeah, that'd be nice, right?
Still love Alex Smith, but, man, anybody else, please.
The Deshaun Watson sweepstakes continues. Who will come out victorious? We will keep you up to date here on the Afternoon Sports Drive. And hour number 2, buy or sell, is coming up. We've got more quarterback news to get to as well. The Rams, will they be without, as Zach likes to call him, Jared Goff next season? Who knows? We're going to get to him and much more coming up on the Afternoon Sports Drive.
I don't know how we make it out when we make out on the low. Even if it rains, you'd rather make it snow. Both you and me know we gotta let it go. Laying on the ground, wondering why it's so cold. How we make it out when we make out on the low. Even if it rains, you'd rather make it snow.
This is hour number 2 of the Afternoon Sports Drive on the Triple Play Sports Radio Network. Patrick Wheeler, Zach Lancaster, and Levi Peckinpah. Levi, how's your show been going since you started rocking and rolling again?
Show's been going pretty well. I believe this is our second full week back. It's I've been excited for it. I've been having a whole bunch of various guests on, getting a lot of differing opinions. And it's overall been a great time, and can't wait as the season and as everything keeps going, more and more people will be piling on. And it's just been overall awesome. And thank goodness I have a coffee every day. Every day. I mean, not today. Thank goodness I have my one break for coffee. So it's going all right.
It's 8 to 10 Monday through Thursday.
8 to 10 Monday through Thursday, every single week.
There you go. Well, here on the Afternoon Sports Drive, it's hour number 2, which means only one thing.
Are you buying?
I'd buy that for $1.
Or are you selling?
You pick up the phone and you sell.
This is Buy or Sell on the Afternoon Sports Drive.
Make money, make money.
It's Buy or Sell. It's the Afternoon Sports Drive. Triple Play Sports Radio. Patrick Wheeler, Zach Lancaster, and Levi Peckinpah. All right, Levi, since you're the special guest on Fridays,
I forgot about this.
You get to lead off, and Zach's going second, and I'll bat third today.
Okay.
Bat you both in.
Hey, sounds great. I've only got a couple, and it's going to go All-Star, NFL, go NBA. For the NFL, we are talking a lot about quarterbacks because this offseason, a lot of them will be on the move. The one that I think will move, but I really want to know for you guys, buy or sell, Jimmy Garoppolo will not be on the 49ers by the start of the next season.
Buy. I think he is absolutely on the move. And then for 2 reasons. One, performance pretty average, right? I mean, if you go back and watch last year when he was in the Super Bowl, he did a good enough job to get his team there. But, man, their run game was insanely good. Their defense, nobody could score on them. If you go back to that NFC Championship game, they were dominating Green Bay, and that was with the solid Green Bay offense, right, last year as well. And then they couldn't get it done. And then they had to lead on Kansas City and all that too. But it was Jimmy G in that game that couldn't quite get it done. He had an opportunity. Everyone remembers him sailing it over the head of Emmanuel Sanders. That would have most likely changed the outcome of that game. He didn't have the accuracy. He's not. So he's never going to be your big play guy. And the Niners, they saw enough out of C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins to know that, okay, they actually played better than Jimmy G for the most part in a combined sense. So I think they're going to find somebody else. Now, Jimmy G, if he goes to the right place, he could be serviceable as a starter, but I don't think he's ever going to be that guy that you're confident can win you games. And it's crazy to say he was in the Super Bowl last year, but he wasn't a huge part of what they did. And they've got some young talent at receiver now. Brandon Ayuk is really fascinating to watch. He's a fun guy. George Kittle, if he stays healthy, we know the second best tight end. Some people say the first, right, in the league.
You can also add in Deebo Samuel when
Deebo is really good. I mean, they've got a lot of studs. The defense is the thing this year, right? Once that defense fell apart to injury, and I'm talking like week 1 and then beyond, they were never going anywhere. Jimmy G gets hurt, he's out. George Kittle gets hurt, he's out. All these guys. So they were never going anywhere this year, and I think the Niners have seen enough out of what he provides, because guess what? I don't think he's going to go up from here necessarily. The ceiling, I believe, has been reached for Jimmy G.
The only up that he'll be going is up north to New England.
So yeah, the Patriots want to bring him back. You know that
Bill didn't want him to go.
No, Bill Belichick's like, come on, get back over here. My experiment with Cam Newton failed miserably.
My precious.
Come back over here. Yeah, he's got the hood on, the Sith Lord hood, and he's shaking his head and rubbing his hands. Get back over here. We'll get you a couple weapons, and we'll go back and beat Tommy B in the Super Bowl. That's what he's saying.
You can get 6 wins with Jacoby Myers.
You could do it with these weapons that don't exist. Yeah, I would. So I'll buy it. I don't think Jimmy G will be a 49er this next year.
What about you, Zach?
You mean Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't the second coming of Tom Brady like everyone predicted?
Oh, if only.
How depressing. Yeah, no, he's not. Yeah, he'll be gone. I'll buy that. He was not the main factor in the 49ers making the Super Bowl. So I think I'm with Patrick. I think his time in San Francisco has come to an end.
Yeah.
Well, and Levi, it was like last year, even when he did play. I mean, he never once gave the Niners, to me, when you look at the rest of their season, and I'm serious. I know Nick Mullins and C.J. Beathard, like everyone's like, what are you talking about? They're not that great. But if you go back and look at some of their performances, you're really telling me that Jimmy G was giving you a better shot than them? He really wasn't. So he wasn't making a huge difference. And if you can make a difference with the weapons they've added that we mentioned, look, you don't have any business there at the 49ers because their defense is really, really good. Now, they lost Robert Saleh, so it remains to see how that affects them overall. But I just don't think that he's going to be the answer.
Yeah, he's going to go to New England and be a Super Bowl contender day one.
Yeah, probably.
Win 4 straight titles.
Oh, imagine that storyline when he gets back over there.
Oh, yeah. But also don't forget, Jimmy G does have more Super Bowl. He does have some Super Bowl wins.
Yes, he does.
Technically.
He did a really good job of his performance in getting there. Yeah,
he did very good warming up that bench for Tom Brady.
Yes, he did. He enjoyed
Hey, I'm
that.
telling you, man, I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Backup quarterback is the best job of the NFL. And when you're Tom Brady's backup quarterback, you know you're going to get some Super Bowl bonuses out of it.
Yeah, but then he got into the starting role and he made the Super Bowl himself, and everyone was like, wait, don't slow your roll here. Don't get it twisted. Let's not act like Jimmy G was the Tom Brady to the Niners and got him there.
Absolutely.
What you got, Zach?
So I've got we talked to Isaac Likely today. He was the first player we got to talk to, and he said during the Zoom call, or he was asked during the Zoom call, he made a couple of big buckets there against Kansas, a big 3-pointer in that win against Kansas. And so did he think he was going to reintroduce that outside game back into his inside game? Because you go back to last year, horrible outside shot. This year, he's making a few, and his shot looks better. He's reconstructed it. So buy or sell, Isaac Likely takes 2 or more threes tomorrow against Arkansas.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, right? But I think 2 is high. I really do. I think he maybe has 1. But I'll say because I want him to. I think he has a real shot to get back in his rhythm a little bit scoring wise. I know, like every time I bring it up, like Tom was a great example. He doesn't necessarily agree that he's been off in his ways in terms of scoring, but I do. I don't think it's been the same Isaac Likely. And with that being said, him being comfortable and getting back to what he's used to is driving the basketball. It's getting in the thick of things, it's getting extra chances, and it's being fouled and going to the free throw line. So that's his game. However, if he does hit a 3, it's going to be like they have been this season. When they've come sparingly, though, they've been in big situations. Like when you've needed a 3, it seems like at times Isaac Likely, out of all people, has been the guy that can get you a big shot. So he's certainly capable of that outside shot, but I don't think he's going to necessarily reintroduce it as this big part of his game. He's going to get back to his bread and butter, and that's getting to the rack.
It's like when people leave him open, they think he's Ben Simmons and he doesn't have a shot. No, he has a shot. It's just he knows he's better at other things. He doesn't have to use the 3-pointer. I'm going to sell as well. I don't think he's going to hit 1 3 this game. I don't even think he's going to shoot a 3 this game. I think it's mainly just in the lane. It's his bread and butter type stuff that is the Isaac Likely special, and I think that's how he always gets people involved. Getting in the lane, forcing some people to get on him, then dishing it out to places where nobody expects it to go. Yeah, Ice isn't. He's a decent 3-point shooter whenever he's got an open ball. That's very rare, but I just don't think he's going to get an opportunity to shoot a 3.
Yeah, so he's attempted 2 or more. He's attempted 2 shots in 4 games this year. UT Arlington, Texas Southern, Wichita State, and Texas Tech. He has not attempted a 3-pointer in the last 2 games. And then going back to the West Virginia game, he's only attempted 2. However, he has 2 for 2 in those. He had 1 against Kansas State and 1 against Kansas. I think he's going to make one. I think he'll take at least 1. I think he'll hit 1, but 2 or more. 2. I would be shocked if he attempted 2, but I think he gets at least 1.
Okay. Yeah, no, I could get in there and buy that. All right, so I'm sticking with Oklahoma State basketball. Moses Moody, talk of the town, right, for Arkansas. And he and Cade Shirley will have a couple of big moments in this one. But buy or sell that Oklahoma State can hold him to less than 20 points in this game.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. The dude leads the team in scoring, averaging 16.5 a game. Really talented. I don't know, Tom was saying that Cade's going to play a lot. Boynton's saying that he's going to be limited. I don't know what Cade is going to do, but I would have to think with Moody coming into town and with how Arkansas is playing, Cade is going to do his absolute best to be on that court as much as he can. And if that's the case, then I think they hold Moody to under 20. But if Cade is in a limited role and let's say he only less than 20 points, I haven't completely gone through his stats yet. Let's see, they just now loaded. It looks like a career high at 25 against Georgia. Oh no, 28 against Alabama. I don't think he hits a career high, but if Cade plays a limited role and it's less than 20. Yeah, I'll buy more than 20 points for Moody.
It's mainly going to depend on how much ice guards, and Cade is iffy on the defensive end. I'm going to be looking at how much ice is going to be on Moody. If ice is basically stuck to Moody's hip like glue, then yeah, it's going to be under 20. But if ice is off a little bit and you have to have Cade guard him, then yeah, Moody's most likely going to bust open like 24 or 25.
Yeah, the thing with teams that Oklahoma State has played this year, the stars have been stars against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, they have.
They have. You go down the list, and their star players are pouring in points.
Didn't Jared Butler against us drop 30?
Well, I can't remember if it was 30 or not, but it was.
I'll look it up. I got it.
Yeah,
right
it was definitely near that, if not.
It was a lot.
But he exploded in the second half, right? But that's kind of been the case all the way through, even the non-conference games, right? I mean, guys were having big games early on, so I think it continues. I think this is
Butler had 22.
22. I think this is a Moses Moody situation where he is in the 20-plus range. However, it's going to take a number of other guys on that Arkansas team to really pour in some production for them to beat Oklahoma State. This can't be a one-man show here against OSU. They won't let that beat them at any time.
And that's the good thing about it is they have 10. They have 5 players scoring at least 10 points or more. So I mean, and that's across that's across 13 games. Justin Smith has only played 13 games, but you got 17 games from 4 other guys, and it's 10.8. 11.4, 11.5, 14, and 14, and 16.6. So I mean, they've got the scoring. It's just it like Levi said, it's all going to matter on defense. How can they slow down that offense?
Yeah, and that's the thing is we've seen Oklahoma State run into these various opportunities where they usually end up giving up 10 points, 11 points, 13 points in a real quick succession, and they can never. And then Oklahoma State doesn't get back into it with any shots. So it wouldn't surprise me if at some point Moody is the one leading that front. But when you got so much the diversity of people that can go out and score, it also wouldn't surprise me if you just see one of those games where you have like 3 or 4 guys in double digits for what Arkansas plans on doing. So I'll buy it.
Okay.
Because I think it's going to be Moody lead.
Okay.
And I think it also depends on what Oklahoma State can get offensively themselves. if Avery can limit his turnovers and can give you, 10 or 11 points, can Bryce step up and have another big game? Because we all know the quickest way to eliminate runs or end runs is scoring points. So if Oklahoma State can get hot and they can stay hot, even if Arkansas, goes on a little bit of a run, can Oklahoma State get that offense from their guard play and Caleb and MA?
What's your next one you got, Levi?
Oh, my next one we're sticking in the basketball realm, but I'm moving quickly over to the NBA because the NBA has been pretty interesting this season, and the place where the least interest is the Washington Wizards, even with Bradley Beal, who is turning into one of the best guards in the NBA. Buy or sell. By the NBA trade deadline, Bradley Beal gets traded off the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell. Washington, look, they made it clear that they don't want to trade him. They don't want to even be in discussion with it right now. And we've heard reports that teams that have been involved in discussion have kind of gotten that sense that there's no sense in attempting to even try it because they're not going to be open to it. Now, Bradley Beal has also said he doesn't, before this, he obviously is frustrated now, but had previously said he wanted to end his career with Washington, right, if possible, if he could make sure that happens.
I was going to say, though, as of recently, the look on his face when he ends up scoring 40 and they lose by about almost 15 or 16 every other game says different.
Yeah, and he's hinted at leaving like before. Like again, recently it's kind of been that way because they're 3-11, I think, and then
they're the bottom of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, they're not good, and he's out there, and it comes back to the whole. When an athlete realizes, am I wasting my time here? Am I ever going to find success here? As much as I love this city and this team and what they've done for me, should I move on? And there was initial talk that the Warriors were going to make something happen and bring him over with Steph. I don't know if that's ever going to take place, but the Wizards, I'll tell you right now, they want to build around this guy. If you jump in on a piece where you're like, hey, we know we can put players around him, we just got to make sure he stays. That's kind of where they are right now. So, but I don't know if Bradley Beal would ever get to the point where he would demand a trade. I just don't see him as that type of player. But you're right, he's good for like 30 a game. It seems like all the time, and they can't get any wins off it because there's no one else that can help him with what he's been able to do so far. And look, Russell Westbrook. I mean, seriously, he's not the guy that's going to be able to necessarily put that into a successful situation with him right now. So as much as I want Bradley Beal to succeed, I think they know that even with Russ now and with Bradley, they can start adding pieces, and unless it gets really messy and he demands a trade, I think he's going to stay put.
Yeah, I'll buy that. I think long term, I don't know how much longer Beal will stay in Washington, but at least for right now, I could see him sticking it out for at least another season.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to buy that he ends up getting traded by the NBA trade deadline because my whole thing is eventually what happens if you lose so much, you eventually lose yourself. Think about it. James Harden, after every time he gets to the playoffs and he comes short, it just kind of compounds on you. Or whenever you see various other guys who have been on teams and they can never make it to that next level, it gets frustrating. For Bradley Beal to just be with the Washington Wizards and never be able to make any steps forward, I think it would be frustrating to right now go from you have the potential to make about, I would say, the 8th or 7th seed with Washington if everything worked out, to now you are at the bottom. You are a bottom feeder in the East when it should be easy to make it to an 8th seed. That is kind of a thing where I would just be sitting there like we've seen Westbrook so many times frustrated, like we've seen Bradley Beal so many times frustrated, like we've seen from Beal's wife on Twitter frustrated. I think he's about ready to go. And, of course, he's not going to admit it out right now, give it like a couple weeks once we get close to the All-Star break. But I think the man's close to leaving. And here's the thing. People are going to bid for him. I assume the Lakers and the Clippers are going to be the top bidders. I assume Milwaukee's going to get on it. Everybody is going to want Bradley Beal because Bradley Beal is a hot commodity. Buy it to the moon. Buy it unlike how I bought my Nokia stocks.
All right, Zach, what's your next one?
Sticking with basketball, coming back to Oklahoma State, as it's been alluded to since this game was first announced, and certainly going back to earlier in the week, this is going to be a very fast-paced, high explosive, high octane type of game. A lot of running, a lot of gunning. We've seen from Bryce Williams, that dude has some hops. He's had multiple breakaway, explosive, fast dunks. So buy or sell, we see at least one Bryce Williams explosive breakaway dunk, whether it's a steal or he just gets out in transition. But buy or sell, we see at least one.
Buy.
I'd say only one?
Yeah, he's I think Bradley Beal was or Bradley Beal. We were talking about Bradley Beal a minute ago. Bryce Williams. I think Bryce Williams was a globetrotter in a second life.
Well, I say one because he had one against Kansas until the very end when he got the breakaway steal at the very end of the game for 2. So that's why I say at least one.
Yeah, I'm buying. He's going to pull out his inner Harlem Globetrotter here now. But the thing is, you alluded to it, Zach, because there will be a lot of transition opportunities, and he's going to be on the end of 1 or 2 of those. And you know what? He has the ability to make a normal dunk, or the style, I should say, even if it's like a half-cock tomahawk, something like that, looked so explosive. Like, oh my God. He lives above the rim when he gets up there in transition. So, yeah, I'm fully expecting it. Yeah. And guess what? You know what? From what I've seen this year, nothing gets me more hyped watching an OSU game than when Bryce throws one down and then looks at the defender that decided to come up and try to swat it from behind him and then gives him a little nod and heads back there. That's one of my favorite things. And you know what? I live forever and be happy to say that he put the cherry on top against Kansas and basically stuffed it in their faces. And that to me is like one of the best things I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, give me a buy. I mean, you only saying one. I really think, just with Bryce Williams in general, his potential and his athleticism is just so crazy. He gets one little opportunity, he can make magic happen. I'll so buy.
All right,
I'm buying as well, and I'm going to throw a bonus one at you real quick.
Let's go.
Ooh, bonus.
Buy or sell, we see at least one attempted free throw dunk from Bryce this season. Because the dude, it seems like it gets closer and closer. Oh my goodness.
And here's the thing, you said this season, so that still gives us this back
Absolutely, yeah. We still got the rest of the year.
Oh yeah, give me a buy.
It seems like he gets closer and closer to that free throw line, man. I could see a leg spread Michael Jordan type of attempt at some point.
Hey, you know what? I think I'll sell that and replace it with like something ridiculous like a 360 or he
throws it to himself
off the board or something like that. Yeah, give me something
bounces
like that.
It off a player's head.
Yeah, something like that.
I wish it was like a throwback. Like I don't think I've ever seen this in game. I don't know, but like the MJ cradle dunk that he would do. Mm-hmm. Oh, give me one of those in game, and I will go insane.
Could you imagine how much fun it would have been if they'd have been able to have the homecoming and hoops celebration like they do every year?
Ooh,
because you look at the athleticism on this team. This would have been the year to have another dunk contest. Oh my God!
Yeah,
that would have been end all be all Bryce Williams hype for the rest of his career.
Yeah,
I'm almost wondering if someone's eventually going to try, if again open fast break, going to go between the legs. That's what I wonder.
Bryce Williams,
endless opportunities, boys.
It's just we're all like looking at Bryce like he's Vince Carter. Like, come on,
do something. And it'll happen against OU.
Oh yeah,
there's going to be an opportunity in one of those OU games where he just goes absolutely ham, and it doesn't even. I mean, you didn't expect it, you didn't see it, and it's going to be on highlight reels for years.
Hey, we'll have 2 chances in 3 days to get it done when that does occur.
Yeah.
All right, moving you guys over to the Super Bowl, sort of, but it just involves one player that's in it. Tom Brady now in number 10, and he shows no signs of retiring anytime soon, right? He said he wants to play till he's 45, and the way he's playing, the way he looks, for crying out loud, he might be able to play till he's 50. Buy or sell that after this Super Bowl, he makes another one before he retires. So, you assume that's going to be, 2-3 years tops, maybe past that?
Least, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll buy it because you look at I certainly, not that I doubted Tom Brady, right? But I didn't expect him to have the season he had in Tampa Bay this year, especially after the start that he and Bruce Arians got off to. I didn't expect the first year that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be in the Super Bowl. So you would have to think that he has enough left in the tank for what he did this year. You would have to think that at least one more time in the next 3 to 4 years, depending on, if he actually makes it to 45. So I'll buy it. I mean, I've doubted Tom Brady in the past, and it's come back to bite me in the ass, so I'm certainly not going to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've learned throughout my lifetime you don't bet against greatness. Buy it. I mean, because here's the thing. I bet against him this year, and I'm wrong. So until Tom Brady proves me wrong, I'm not going to bet against him. So
yeah.
I will buy.
I bought that they could be really successful this year in Tampa Bay. I'm not sure I ever thought they'd get to the Super Bowl because I knew that the Saints and the Packers, for instance, would be issues amongst other teams. But I buy it mostly because of the weapons he still has around him and is going to have.
Plus, that offensive lineman is amazing.
And their defense has played lights out. I mean, if they can hold on to most of these guys for at least another year or two, which they should be able to, there's no reason why coming out of this season, even if he doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, that they shouldn't be favored in the NFC to get back there again.
I mean, a good chunk of these guys are still on some rookie deals. I mean, you got Devin White. I don't know Carlton Davis is, Antoine Winfield Jr., Sean Murphy Bunting. Yeah. You still got a lot of guys on young contracts, so yeah, you'll be able to get the most out of Tom Brady.
Yeah, and the big thing was, like Zach mentioned, was Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, were they going to start clicking at some point? And even halfway through the season, we kept hearing Tom saying this, and then Bruce is saying this, and they can't get on the same page about what they want to do on the offensive side of the ball and how they want to call plays and blah, blah, blah. And then something clicked around the bye week, right? And everything just kind of started falling into place, and Bruce Arians adjusted to Tom Brady, and Tom Brady said thank you, and they moved on. And it seems like that Thursday night game against Chicago was a distant, farty memory for him, where he held up the number of downs like he thought he got confused there on fourth down. Remember that? Yeah. Hard to believe, and then he found himself in the Super Bowl again. Crazy year for Tom Brady. When we come back on the afternoon sports drive, talking about quarterbacks, the Rams and Jared Goff might be on the move. Yeah, that's as Zach has named him. Classic there. We'll talk about where he might end up next.
Feel like I'm gonna puke, cause my taxes are due. Do my best, we'll begin with a 1 or a 2. Been a hell of a ride, but I'm thinking it's time to grow.
Metronome.
Man, I'm up to something. Ooh-dee-la-dee-do, thank you all for coming. I hope you like the show, cause it's on a budget. So ooh-dee-la-dee-do, yeah. Come on, here we go, yeah. Come on.
Here we go.
So put your best face on, everybody pretend you know this song. Everybody come.
It's the afternoon sports drive. It's Triple Play Sports Radio Network. It's Friday. Hope everyone's having a great Friday. Getting into your weekend. What a day for January on a Friday. It's beautiful out there.
Dude, I'll tell you right now. So I've made the mistake of starting to buy trading cards again.
Yeah, that's a dangerous road to get on.
Because when I start buying trading cards, I feel like I can't stop.
Welcome to the club, buddy.
Oh no, dude, I've been collecting since literally since birth.
Bro, I understand, man.
I try to slow it down because when I get a good hit, I got to keep going.
Or do they have like a trading cards anonymous you can go to where you can?
I hope so.
Talk about your struggles.
Crack. Hey, so I bought some NASCAR trading cards a couple weeks ago.
Please buy all of them that you find at Walmart because I will also admit I'm a trading cardaholic.
It's hard, dude. So I bought some NASCAR ones a couple weeks ago, and I got the bug. And I bought a couple of random lots on eBay.
Ooh.
Dude, I spent $20 on this lot, and I don't know how much you guys know of racing. But it was $20, and I don't think this guy knows much about racing because in a $20 lot he included a Jeff Gordon autograph.
Ooh,
yeah, he didn't know.
That's a hit.
He didn't know.
And a Bill Elliott autograph.
Yeah, he didn't know.
And old school Leonard Wood. He's a part of the Woods brothers that co-founded it. He's virtually the father of the modern pit stop. I mean, and that's $20, dude. And I got these 3 cards. Nah, get out of here.
So basically, you have enough cards to now start a dynasty.
Yeah, get out of here. There's no way this dude knew about.
I can just see you and Levi sitting in a circle, and hey, I'm Zach, and I'm a traded cardaholic. I've been this way for a long time now.
I'm not gonna lie. I have a couple friends, and of course we're all NFL fans, and so
hi, Zach.
I've been recently getting into NFL trading cards, and trying to go to Walmart here and find one is like heck because the majority it is NASCAR cards. So that's why I'm saying you please buy them all up. But then I'll go to one of my friends like, hey, I heard you're a Bengals fan. I have this Joe Burrow card. Would you like it for $8? And I'm trying to supply my own addiction.
Yeah, I never really got into NFL cards.
Really? I've seen your baseball card collection. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, dude. Baseball was big. I'm talking like tens of thousands.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right.
And NASCAR is starting to grow a little bit, and I don't know why I haven't bought them before, but like, dude, random eBay lots, It's where it's at. You might get about $600 worth of cards for $20.
I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty good. I've gotten some really great hits sometime. I remember it was just in one lot. I saw some of the cards and I ended up getting, like, for basketball for NBA, I got like a Gilbert Arenas patch, jersey patch. That was pretty sick.
Hey, you might want to find a Jared Goff card while you can. If he's a Ram still.
Oh, by the way, if you want to, I still have my Clyde Edwards-Helaire card if you want it.
Ooh, yeah.
I was going to ask you, Gilbert Arenas, was that a patch of like a bulletproof vest? Or was that like what?
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Yes, because shots were fired.
Yeah, shots were fired. A lot of Kevlar. All right, so Jared Goff is going to be. Look, they said the other day Sean McVay would not confirm again. Right, the Rams won't confirm that he's going to be their guy next year. But we do know that he's basically saying, look, there's going to be a QB battle this offseason. I'm like,
with who?
I'm like, John Wolford. The guy that came in and then played in the playoffs and late in the year when Jared Goff got hurt. Yeah, John Wolford.
The man that basically got turned into a bobblehead in the playoffs by breaking his neck.
Yes, and it was that was bad.
Like, no.
Yeah, he had to get carted off. Almost snapped his neck. Yeah, it was bad. But I'm thinking to myself, wow, the Rams. Like, I knew the Rams were not trusting in Jared Goff anymore.
They're down bad right now.
But man, he's a system quarterback. We know that, plain and simple. And this year, though, here's the thing I didn't quite understand. If you've watched Jared Goff, he has to be in an offense. Go back to the Super Bowl year where they have a really solid running back, and it's just like the Titans offense to me, and they use play action to their advantage. Right, that's all it is. And you had two really good receivers, and tight ends weren't bad either for the Rams. And that was the year, if you go back in 2017, remember the Rams-Chiefs game where they scored like 50-something points? Like, their offense was humming all the way. Like, they could not be outscored. We knew the defense. Aaron Donald was a beast, right? They had stuff on, they had weapons on that side too. And then you had Sean McVay. The boy wonder genius who everybody wanted to really understand, why are you so good at coaching at such a young age? What have you done with this offense? But this year I didn't get it because Todd Gurley was gone. And it was like when he left, they thought to themselves, oh my gosh, we can't trust any running back that we have to be involved in play action and keep Jared Goff comfortable. So what did they do from week one on? They decided to run the ball 1,000 times and then set Jared Goff up to where he's not comfortable. And guess what? If he's not comfortable, he's not good enough to make plays. That's what happened this year with the Rams. And then, of course, they relied on their defense, right? You literally were relying on Aaron Donald solely sometimes and Jalen Ramsey. It got so bad towards the end of the year, you end up getting beat by the New York Jets out of all teams. It was an absolute disaster. Not a lot of teams, by the way. You say you got beat by the New York Jets and still made the playoffs, right? How does that happen?
I'd say this isn't 2010.
But the thing, he's not mobile. Decision-making wasn't great. But to me, a lot of this is on the Rams. For whatever reason, they took it upon themselves to think that we can't run our offense that we used to run with Todd Gurley. We don't know what we have at running back, even though Cam Akers really started to come on there. And maybe they shifted around. But they lost trust and they weren't willing to put the ball in Jared Goff's hands in big situations and hoping that he was going to make them plays like he did in 2017, even though they still had an abundance of talent to get the ball to. I mean, Cooper Kupp's a really good receiver. Robert Woods, a really good receiver. Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee. You've got weapons all over the field. They brought in Van Jefferson. He's good. And yet they were not. And even the playoff game, they were just lucky that the Seahawks crapped the bed and managed to let them move on. We knew they were never going to beat the Packers. But as much as I agree that Jared Goff is a system quarterback and needs a lot of things to go right, they completely abandoned their play style of what happened in 2017 when they were so successful. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, Jared Goff's no good. He's at such a point with us that we're going to have to go in a quarterback battle and maybe John Wolford beats him out, as if I'm really going to believe that's going to be the case. I don't think Jared Goff's going anywhere. I think that the contract is way too big, which, by the way, completely overpaid. He robbed them this past year with the way that he did play. But, again, it goes back to, and to me, if I'm putting blame, I'm giving a lot of it to the Rams and the way they switched up their offense this season.
Yeah, I will completely agree. And it's just the thing of everybody gave so much confidence to Sean McVay in that system and that, oh, my goodness, Sean McVay, one of the brightest head coaches, he's got a bright future ahead of himself, and yet he can figure out the situation where you have a obvious system quarterback where he does have some talent and occasionally flashes that he's above average, and it's only on occasion.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's better than some quarterbacks. That's better than Mitchell Trubisky. His flashes were rare. But, I mean, you just have these moments where he looks like he could do something, but Sean McVay doesn't know how to catch lightning in a bottle. I mean, nobody knows how to, but, I mean, everybody's got some good attempts to where he can try it, and it just seems like he cannot figure it out. Yes, he's such a bright coach, but he can't figure out how to coach an average quarterback.
Well, and the reason, Zach, why, if you look at this too, go back to the Super Bowl. Remember when during that game, Todd Gurley was just not involved? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was, like, disappeared. Everyone was like, where the hell is Todd Gurley?
Yo, my boy, Mr. Arthritis knees.
Yeah, and he's dealing with the knee issue, and then they said, no, before the game, they're like, nah, he's healthy. Then they said at halftime, expect a ton of him in the second half. We didn't see it. And when they didn't have him out there, they couldn't run that classic play-action style that they like. Jared Goff was completely out of his comfort zone, and they couldn't do anything. Now, with no Todd Gurley, they refused to go back to that, completely redid their entire offense. And it's like all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we put him in a situation to not succeed. Oh, and he actually didn't succeed, and now we're going to blame it on him.
Why can't they just do a mixture of both and make it smart? Like, make it a bigger playbook. Like, even though I've criticized Bruce Arians that says he has a Cheesecake Factory worth of plays. Well, that's worked. If you have a lot of plays and you can figure out what in the world to operate, I mean, that's not a bad. It shows it's not a bad idea if you can kind of get Sean McVay and Jared Goff on the same page, then yeah, something like that would work. But don't restrict yourself to one system, because then you're restricting your chance of winning.
How much money has LA wasted on Jared Goff?
Too much.
I mean, my goodness. I get it. You know, you had some moments of brilliance where, and I think that's probably where the biggest fascination of McVay comes from. Is he can think back to like the 7.5 minute mark of a preseason game in 2014 and tell you exactly what the 17th play of the drive was and who caught it and the yardage and all that. And so everyone just assumed that he was this brilliant football mind, when in all reality he's probably just addicted to, you know, Adderall and Ritalin and all this stuff that just gives him a rainmaker, like a Rain Man type of nuance. But I just don't get it. You know, there hasn't been that success from Jared Goff that would necessitate him sticking around much longer and them continuing to waste money on him.
Yeah, and I think they got so sucked in with what he did that Super Bowl year. And it's like you said, Levi, there were times I can remember myself, specific throws that he made that year that were just incredible. Mm-hmm. You know, he was like, okay, he's got the arm talent, he's accurate, he's moving around a little bit in the pocket, he's making
moments.
Yeah, and it was like, man, but they're like, you can't tell me that a lot of what they did in terms of paying him wasn't involved and didn't have a lot to do with Sean McVay, because it did. Mm-hmm. I mean, as much of that contract as went to Jared Goff, they might as well have said half of this is going to Sean McVay, because he's the one that's pulling the strings behind the curtains here.
But then we also realize that whenever Jared Goff falls, it's not all on Jared Goff; it's also on Sean McVay. We can't then just prop both of them up, then we're going to destroy one. Now we got to destroy the other and realize half of this has to go on him.
That's what I'm saying. Why Sean McVay at this point has to start, assuming some responsibility.
Let's correct this now. Yeah, Jared Goff and Sean McVay looked good at one time, but both of them have worked their way down to becoming not only an average quarterback, but an average coach.
Yeah, I mean, and he was a coach where if you were the janitor for the Rams and you were connected to Sean McVay, you got a job.
Oh, what up, Cliff Kingsbury?
I know, I think right? It's all over the place, man. And I think this next year is going to be huge, because while they did make the playoffs, they were one of those teams that didn't really deserve it. Like, their defense did, but nothing about their offense and the way they were running it said that they were going to ever have a chance to be successful.
It was literally just Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Williams, and then everybody else.
They were like, please get us to a Super Bowl with no offense, please.
And then they basically broke Aaron Donald's ribs, and he was like, I can't anymore.
That was the last nail in the coffin, that's for sure. We come back here, we're going to tell you what we learned here on this Friday. This is the Afternoon Sports Drive on the Triple Play Sports Radio Network.
Levitating off the blacktop. Used to struggle getting started, now I can't stop. Used to be the quiet kid in the sandbox, now it's hands up every time that your man rocks.
This is the Afternoon Sports Drive on the Triple Play Sports Radio Network, and it's Friday. We're getting you into your weekend. You're in the right spot for sure. And to get you into your weekend, we're going to drop some knowledge on you and tell you what we learned.
The day is coming to an end. Time to find out if these two got any smarter. Let's find out what the guys learned today on the Afternoon Sports Drive.
Well, I learned something today.
It's these three, big voice guy, because Levi's in today.
Yeah.
As I've mentioned to you guys a couple of times, we had some reports surface today that, and I'll preface it with this: Nelson Aguilar had a pretty good season with Oakland, right? Vegas now. He came back and made a difference at times in the past game, and this was a guy that was basically run out of Philadelphia, right? I mean, a lot of fans, as happens a lot in Philadelphia, don't want anything to do with you at the end of your time there.
Unlike Aguilar, maybe.
Yeah. So he comes over to Vegas, has a decent year, even though the Raiders necessarily didn't, but he did make some big plays. Then we get some word today. One of the guys that covers the Raiders for The Athletic dropped the report and said Nelson Aguilar one time this season after they lost that game to the Dolphins. We all remember, I'll never forget, Ryan Fitzpatrick comes back in and makes one of the craziest throws of all time down the sideline. He didn't even, it was a no look to say the least there, because he was had his face pulled around the other way, completed it, came back, it was awesome. And the way that because the Raiders were winning all game and the Dolphins made him pay at the end. He said after that game that the reporter did that Nelson Aguilar went in, told all his teammates, quote, "You guys suck," is what he said to everybody, and basically called them all out with about their accountability issues. And then there was reports that there was nothing said back to him after that. So that's what kind of made it work. And to me, I could see the way that the Raiders played that game and how defeated they were, that if Nelson was just like, guys, you guys are terrible. Like, you guys are not good. You didn't play good. I could just see them all being like, at this point, like, here we go. Who cares?
Yeah, which I'm going to actually add part two to that.
Add part two.
Because on CBS Sports also posted about it, they did a little graphic on Instagram, and you go into the captions and you go into the comments. Todd Gurley has a comment that says, "That's definitely a lie. Nelly barely even talks." And then you also go down into the comments, and some people are asking, wait, didn't some teammates say that was a lie? And apparently, from what one person saw somewhere from Daryl Worley, who is also I believe is also an Oakland Raider, has said that is definitely a lie.
Well, and then they talked to actually ask John Gruden about it, and he was like, here's his response. His response was, "I love Aguilar, man." That's all he said. How classic John Gruden is that?
Here's the thing. He's either covering up that it was true or just like ignoring it because he knows it's a lie. It's one or the other.
All I can say is Raiders are going to Raider. Hey, you know what? And in 2020, a lot of nonsense happened. But the Raiders won their Super Bowl when they beat Kansas City, and they probably, knowing them and their fan base, consider it a successful season because that happened. But they got that brand new shiny stadium and couldn't do anything with it. Now, they have promising talent on that team, but the Raiders gonna Raider.
Hey, at least it's not Antonio Brown, man. That's the one thing. At least it's not Antonio Brown.
Yeah, so we talked about baseball during the break, and I'm going to go back to baseball.
Yes.
How cool was the news came out this morning? King Griffey Jr. hired by the MLB. He's a senior advisor to the commissioner with an emphasis on baseball operations, youth development, and improving diversity at all levels. King Griffey Jr., man, he was one of my introductions to the game, one of the best swings in the history of the game, one of the best players in the history of the game. For him to be at a senior level of the league, this is one of the few things the MLB has gotten right over the past 5 or so years, and I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that King Griffey is going to grow this game exponentially.
Yeah, the kid with the sweetest left-handed swing of all time. I mean, he was incredible, and I hope that he gets in there and smacks some sense into Rob Manfred, because we all know that he could use it the way he governs the league. So hopefully I have no doubt either, Zach, that's going to be a huge addition for Major League Baseball.
And I think what's so great about them bringing in, not just bringing in former players, but bringing in some of the greatest to ever do it, I think that lends itself to trying to right the ship a little bit, because there's no way that some of the greatest players of all time are going to allow the commissioner or the league to just continue to make silly decisions. So I would have to think that it's going to benefit baseball at every level. It's going to benefit baseball for years to come.
If only he was in there during the Astros mess, maybe he could have convinced him to take that ring away.
Telling me.
Yeah. Hey, my part two was adding on to it.
Oh, perfect.
Hey, I have not.
We'll take it.
I have not learned much today because I've been in law class. Actually, I learned about the First Amendment today. So
I would hope you learned about law.
learned about the First Amendment or more about it?
More about it, like the various things that.
Found out about the First Amendment.
By the way, this is what the First Amendment says.
No, like I have media law class, and so literally we're basically tearing apart the Constitution. Literally, it's just a lot of things that as when I was younger, I never knew about, and even up to now.
That sounds pretty un-American, Levi.
Tearing up the Constitution.
Tearing up the Constitution.
How dare you?
Screw this! I hate it.
Hey, good stuff, Levi, man. We appreciate it on Fridays as always.
Tearing it up like my stocks, baby.
There you go. Tear up those stocks. Hope you have some more success over you can't over the weekend because it's closed down. But next week, hopefully, good news. We can hear from you.
There won't be any. Trust me.
Get off Reddit. Don't go on Reddit and spend any of your time there.
No promises.
It's been the Afternoon Sports Drive on the Triple Play Sports Radio Network. That's Levi Peckinpah. That's Zach Lancaster. I'm Patrick Wheeler. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. tip-off. OSU basketball versus Arkansas on ESPN2, and the pregame show with Tom Dorado, Jordan Woodruff, and Corey Williams, right? We said hopefully early in that one as well. So make sure you tune in for that on Triple Play Sports Radio. Everybody have a fantastic weekend.